Israeli politicians have suddenly become much more bold. For a long time now, Palestinian activists have been concerned. They have been speculating with regards to the Zionist narrative that we are only fighting Hamas. And actually, what some of them have been asserting is, this is not just about fighting Hamas. It's actually about making Gaza unlivable, which will eventually force the civilian populations to leave the Strip. They argue that this is required by political Zionism, which essentially makes it very, very important that there is a Jewish majority. But it has to deal with the problem of an Arab population that will soon outnumber them due to higher reproduction rates. And this blatantly racist element of Zionist ideology has also been discomforting for Western politicians who have repeatedly been supporting Israel. For example, Politico have mentioned that reportedly Kamala Harris has pushed for sympathy to be shown to the Palestinians behind the scenes. Some, though, see her Islamophobia political stances as being motivated by nothing more than electoral sensitivities. And the Muslim and younger democratic rebellion against Biden's Israel policy builds and becomes more tangible. Israeli politicians have become more and more vocal, more bold, that the solution to the Gaza problem is to displace the Palestinians. Initially, these plans were being quietly negotiated behind closed doors, with Netanyahu attempting to lobby the EU to pressure Egypt into accepting Gazan refugees. A concept paper was drawn up, laying out steps on how to displace the Palestinians into Egypt, how this all would take place. As Egypt refused, influential Israeli figures like Giora Eiland began to recommend as policy that Israel makes conditions in Gaza unlivable, forcing the population to leave. And these policies have been endorsed within Israel's establishment. We have Danny Danon, Israel's permanent representative to the UN, who published a plan for the day after, which included voluntary migration from Gaza. He criticized the IDF approach post-ceasefire, which in his opinion has become too soft. Can you believe this now? According to him, there is not enough destruction of buildings or civilian displacement. We need to be doing more. Israeli media have also reported that Netanyahu has endorsed these plans to transfer the Palestinians. In a meeting with members of the Likud party, where he is threatened, he is reported to have given his assent to the plans. The only problem is who is going to take these refugees, as senior Israel analyst Myrav Zonstein records. This, as we have mentioned, is well commensurate with sustained Israeli policy since 1948 to maintain an artificial Jewish majority. Within this context, this week the media has been filled with reports that Tony Blair has been approached to take up a position finding countries that would be willing to accept Gazan refugees. And in response to this, the Tony Blair Institute has denied this story from Channel 12, the Israeli channel, calling it a lie. What cannot be denied, though, is that many of Netanyahu's most senior ministers have actually publicly endorsed the forced displacement narrative. For example, Finance Minister Smotrich stated publicly that having 2 million Palestinians complicates unnecessarily the day after question. According to him, this number should be reduced to 100 to 200,000. Similarly, Ben Gvir, who we've spoken about previously, has also backed resettlement plans, calling it a correct, just, moral, and human solution. Both Gvir and Smotrich are two of the most senior officials in Israel. They have not only publicly called for the displacement of Palestinians, but they have also asserted that settlers should replace them. In response to Gvir, the Israeli-Palestinian politician Ahmed Tibi accused Gvir in the Israeli parliament of inciting genocide. And he mentioned that Gvir would one day be tried for war crimes. And many would find this unsurprising Greer would respond to Tibi by accusing him of being a terrorist. Greer would also state that he has not forgotten about promoting the immigration of Tibi out of the Israeli parliament, demonstrating the race-based prejudice underpinning this proposed immigration strategy. Tibi is not from Gaza. These plans have also been repeated by the Republican candidate for the US presidency, Nikki Haley.
Where should the Palestinians go? Well, they should be going through the Rafah Gate and Egypt take them. But I've always said that, what you should have is they should go to pro-Hamas countries. Qatar, Iran, if you send them there, Turkey, those are pro-Hamas countries. That's where they should go.
It is absolutely shocking that expressing complicity in war crimes is effectively an election strategy now in the United States of America. But here we are. And many will not find this shocking. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has publicly stated, as has been reported in Israeli media, that Nikki Haley will support him in moving the Palestinians out of Gaza. Can you believe this conversation that we are having right now? What we have in front of us is a situation where senior Israeli officials have made their intentions for Palestinians, for Gazans, entirely clear. There is also complicity on these plans, not just within Israel, but in the United States of America. And yet still, the narrative continues to persist that Israel is only interested in fighting Hamas. It's only about Hamas. And they wish good for the civilians of Gaza. Make no mistake, the plan to secure the forceful displacement of the Palestinians is in full motion. And it is being spun as voluntary migration. This is nothing new for Palestinians who have been facing these types of struggles since the Nakba of 1948.